baseball fans, Merry Christmas, wherever you are. I hope you're enjoying your eggnog. I hope you're spending time with family. But tonight, I'm giving one gift for each team. Could that be Blake Snell for your team? Could that be Corbin Burns or Jesus Luzardo in a trade? Maybe a bat like Cody Bellinger. How you doing, everyone? Good evening, good evening, good evening. How you doing, how you doing, how you doing? I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces in the chat. Not gonna lie, it's hard to talk with this thing on. I don't know what the heck is going on. How are we doing here? I'm seeing some moderators. I think I saw some members earlier. Definitely seeing a lot of familiar faces. Hello, everyone. Merry Christmas, wherever you are. Hope you're having a good Christmas Eve. Well, it's not quite Christmas yet. Unless, I don't know, maybe some of you, maybe it is Christmas where you are. I don't know. But for me, it is Christmas Eve right now. I am, 3.5 hours away until Santa Claus comes to my house. I am not Santa Claus. I am Robbie Claus, and I am here to give one gift for each of your favorite teams out there. And everyone, before I do get started, if you can, hit that like button for me. That's going to help out with the algorithm here. I'm not expecting a whole lot of people in here tonight. It is Christmas Eve, by the way. I'm expecting a lot of people with their families, with friends. Who knows? But if you can, hit that like button, hit the bell notification. That way you know I go live every single time. Share the show. Subscribe if you are new. And let's get to it, everyone. We got 30 teams to go through. I don't know how the heck Santa Claus is running around out there on his sleigh with his reindeer, going to every single little town on planet Earth. Who knows? Maybe even Mars. Maybe there's something out there he wants to give people gifts to. I don't know how he does it. I'm just tired with this big old beard on. But here we go, everyone. Here we go. We're going to get started. We're going to stop in LA. And we're going to go to the Angels first. And for the Angels, I'm going Blake Snell. Blake Snell, I think, would be absolutely perfect for the LA Angels. I think they need something for the Angels fans out there to give them some happiness again. I think a rotation with Blake Snell in it doesn't sound too bad, if you ask me. Now, with Blake Snell, you're probably going to be seeing a big contract for Blake Snell. It's not going to be cheap to get this guy. You're probably looking at least a 6-year deal. Probably 7, maybe even 8. Who knows? But 2-time Cy Young winner, Blake Snell, it's not going to be cheap to get him. I would imagine you're probably looking at around 25, 26, 27, maybe even 28 million for this guy. He's got good stuff, winning a Cy Young last year, 32 starts, a 2.25 ERA, 3.44 on the FIP, almost 12 strikeouts per 9 last year. Does walk a little bit too many in my personal opinion, but to me, with the stuff that he has, with the strikeouts that he seems to get just at will every single start, this is a guy you would love to have in your rotation. And with Blake Snell, I'm giving him a gift here as well. He wants to go to the West Coast, and to me, I think this is a perfect fit. With the Angels, they now have some money to spend. Right, they have, obviously, Shohei Ohtani going to the other side of town, going to the Dodgers. They got a little bit of money here. And this rotation right now, without Ohtani, it looks really, really underwhelming. Now, I do think Reed Detmers could have a pretty good year coming up. Reed Detmers is a guy, has really good stuff. I think he's going to end up being pretty decent for the Angels. But when you look at the rest here, Griffin Canning, Sandoval, I don't know. Those two guys, it's underwhelming for me. I think they need something. I would rather have Detmers as my 2, Blake Snell as my number 1. Maybe Tyler Anderson picks it back up a little bit. And, I know it's a lot of lefties already in your rotation, but to me, I think the Angels really need someone like Blake Snell. I like their offense. I do. Even without Ohtani, I still think their offense could be pretty good. But they need someone at the top of that rotation. And I think Blake Snell would be absolutely perfect, if you ask me. Let's move on here. Let's go to hold on a second. Where is my Houston Astros? Hold on one second. I might have to add the Astros really quick. I apologize. I completely missed the Astros here. Let's do this. But I got a nice gift for Astros fans that I think they will absolutely love. One moment, please, everyone. I got the Astros coming right up. Here we go. But it's not really a free agent. Not really anyone that you got to go spend a whole ton of money for on the open market. This guy, for me, I think personally, you got to keep this guy around for a long time. And that is Kyle Tucker. You got to give this guy an extension. So my gift for the Astros is a Kyle Tucker extension. Now, let's go look at the numbers here with Kyle Tucker. And taking a look with Kyle Tucker, I mean, this guy, every year he's underrated. I mean, no one ever thinks of this guy, but he puts up good numbers year after year after year. Hitting .284 last year, .517 on the slugging, a .369 on base, 140 WRC plus, 29 homers, only 26 years old. If we're looking at the payroll for the Astros right now, you are looking at a pretty decent payroll right now of $222 million. But Kyle Tucker, he's coming up on free agency in a couple of years. He's due to make $12.6 million this coming year. So if you could work out an extension, right, it would just, maybe let's say 20, maybe 22, 23 per year perhaps. And, you're only adding about maybe around like 10 to 12 million on top of your salary. And they probably will still be able to stay under that luxury tax. So I think an extension is absolutely possible. And if you did end up trading Framber Valdez, this is a name that's been popping up. I doubt they trade him. But if they did, that would even help their payroll even more. But Kyle Tucker, I think it absolutely needs to get done. He's only 26, going to be 27 soon. He's very good every single year. Get this guy signed to an extension. That is my gift for the Houston Astros. So let's move on. We got the soon-to-be Las Vegas A's. Still in Oakland. I got to be honest with you. Listen, the gift I got, it's not really anything crazy because there's not really a whole lot of resources to go around over there. So I gave them a gift that I think is in their means. And I'm just focusing on the player development for this coming year. Get themselves ready. You got Vegas coming up soon. Let's get a good team going when you go to Vegas. And they got a lot of young guys that, I mean, if these guys could really step it up, I mean, this could end up being a pretty decent team at some point down the road. Zach Geloff, Noda, he's still under 28. Langeliers is only 26. Ruiz is only just about to turn 25. They got a lot of young players here where if these guys can get it going, I mean, this lineup could end up being pretty decent down the road. And it's not even just there. You got some guys here in the rotation like a Luis Medina is not even 25 years old yet. You got Mason Miller. He's a top arm. Most likely going to be in the bullpen, but he could be a starter at some point down the road. So there's a lot of young talent with Oakland that I think people aren't really paying attention to as much just because, all the negativity coming out. But they do have some decent young players. So my gift for the Oakland A's, let's focus on that player development. Let's get these guys all the playing time so they can turn into some, who knows, maybe even some stars in the next couple of years. So moving on here, we're going from Oakland to a different country in Canada. We're going to Toronto. And I got Cody Bellinger for the Toronto Blue Jays. I think it's such a perfect fit. They got to get this guy. They need a bat. I've been talking about this on the show many times. And to me, now I thought at one point Cody Bellinger was a perfect fit for the San Francisco Giants. And then they got Jung-Hoo Lee, and there went that. Could they still get him? Sure, absolutely they could. But not really necessary. So the Toronto Blue Jays, they missed out on Shohei Ohtani. All of a sudden, they turned into a possible threat For Ohtani, were they just used as leverage at the end of the day? Probably. But Cody Bellinger, to me, this is a good fallback option. They really could use someone in this lineup. I've said this like a million times. They did not have one hitter last year with over a 500 slugging. I think with Bellinger, this is a guy where I think if you sign him, it's going to lift the spirits of Blue Jays fans a little bit. Yeah, you can look at the 3 years prior, which I think could affect his market a little bit. But with Bellinger, you got to remember, he had a whole ton of injuries over those 3 years, a lot of inconsistencies with his health, shoulder problems, back problems, leg problems, you name it. But he looked really good last year. I think he's going to be okay moving forward. And he would be a really nice piece here if you get Springer, Bichette. Then you got Bellinger. You could have Vlad in the number 4 spot. Vlad is your cleanup hitter. That sounds pretty good if you ask me. So Bellinger, that's the gift I have for the Toronto Blue Jays. Okay, moving on to Atlanta. And I have a trade for Atlanta. And I have a name that has been popping up for them pretty much this entire offseason. Will it get done? I don't know. But I think it's the perfect gift for the Atlanta Braves, looking to get over that hump, right? Looking to get past the Phillies in the postseason. I feel like Dylan Cease is exactly the kind of arm that they need. Dylan Cease, to me, absolutely perfect. And they can get a trade done if they really wanted to. We have talked about this on the channel countless times, where, to me, when you look at the teams out there, yeah, there are some teams when it comes to, a possible fit. But with the Braves, you got Strider, you got Fried. Morton, though, he's not getting any younger. Elder didn't have a great second half last year. Could he get better? Sure. But I feel like just adding someone like this who has 2 years of control, I think it makes a lot of sense for the Atlanta Braves. So if we take a look here at what a trade could look like, I have shown a Dylan Cease trade on here before, but let's just do it again. So right now you're looking at Dylan Cease with a $40 million median value. Right, it could go higher than that, absolutely, especially when you're talking about starting pitching on the trade market. So definitely something to consider. But the Braves can get this done. All right, so if you look at some of their guys here, you're probably going to have to part with one of the young guys, either an A.J. Smith-Shawver or Bryce Elder. I'll go with Shawver. I like the stuff a little bit more from him. Elder, I think, is more of a high floor guy. Shawver, he's younger as well, so I feel like that would entice the White Sox just that much. And then you got Vaughn Grissom, an offensive player or position player, right, that can go for them. So right there, those two guys already close up the gap in terms of value. So if you maybe add on like a prospect or two, I think it gets a deal done. So I love this for the Atlanta Braves. If we go take a look at what their rotation would look like with him. Now, the ERA is high, a 4.58 ERA. But you have to remember, the White Sox had bad defense last year. Terrible defense. His FIP was actually a 3.72. Strikeouts still over 10 per 9. Add him in this rotation as your 3. I mean, that's a really good number 3. You have, in my opinion, an elite 1, 2, 3 of Strider, Fried, and then Cease. And then you got Morton as your 4, right? And then you got Elder as your 5. Like, that's a really good 1 through 5. So I think it's a perfect gift for the Atlanta Braves. Let's go take a look here. Let's go to the Milwaukee Brewers. We're going to stick with a trade here. And Brewers fans, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to be realistic with this. But for the Brewers, I'm not really giving them a free agent or someone that they're trading for necessarily. I'm looking at the return for Corbin Burnes. If you could get a good package back for Corbin Burnes, that sounds like a Milwaukee Brewer kind of a move, if you ask me. So my gift for the Brewers is a good return package for Corbin Burnes that will still keep them competitive. So, for example, let's say the Texas Rangers stepped up. Let's say, hey, Max Scherzer, this dude's got a bum back. We need something in this rotation. Let's go get Corbin Burnes, right? So if you went to the Rangers and you put Corbin Burnes on the Rangers, right, they can definitely send you back some pieces that could really get a deal done. So with Corbin Burnes, you're looking at, 30 to 40 million worth of trade value for 1 year, by the way, for 1 year. So the Rangers, they're still in win now mode, obviously. They want to try and go back-to-back with a World Series championship. But they do have some pieces that you could send back. Maybe you could send back a Justin Foscue. That's a nice piece to get something going already. And then maybe you could send back someone like Jack Leiter, who hasn't really gotten it going in the minor leagues right now, or as of yet. But obviously with Jack Leiter, high draft pick from a couple of years ago, a lot of promise there. I'd love to see what the Brewers could do with him, right? In terms of pitching development, the Brewers, hey, I think that could be a pretty good home for him. And you don't even have to stop right there. I mean, you could definitely still add some more. Maybe you could even throw in someone like an Ezekiel Duran in there. That's a major league piece. I think that's a pretty nice package, if you ask me. You're getting Foscue, Duran, Leiter. If not Leiter, maybe you could send back another pitcher maybe. I like this for the Milwaukee Brewers, to be completely honest. I think this would be good at getting major league ready guys. Maybe you could pick between Foscue and Duran. Pick one of those guys. Foscue does have the higher value. But to me, I think it's a no-brainer for the Rangers to try and get this guy because they do have young guys. Maybe you could even throw in a major league ready piece like Cody Bradford, that a pitcher that you could send back to the Brewers that can go into the rotation now. So, but it's not just the Rangers. There's a whole ton of teams out there. I'll get to the Orioles in a little bit. But the Orioles could definitely send back some pieces. The Dodgers, if they wanted to keep going, my goodness, could you imagine Corbin Burnes in that rotation? Yamamoto, Burnes, Glasnow, Miller. What the heck is going on there? I don't know if the Dodgers do it. I feel like they might be done, but who knows? But there's definitely some options out there that could send back major league ready talent. The Rangers, the Orioles, the Dodgers, if they really wanted to. Could my Red Sox get involved? Yeah, but I don't really see them going after a guy that only has 1 year of control. So I don't see Corbin Burnes really for the Red Sox. I would love it, but Corbin Burnes return package. I think it's going to be a good one for the Milwaukee Brewers. That's my gift. Moving on, St. Louis Cardinals. You know what? I could see people scoffing at this, but to me, I would love this addition for the St. Louis Cardinals. Emmanuel Clase. I mean, I would absolutely love this. I mean, what a gift this would be for the St. Louis Cardinals. They have beefed up their rotation. You got Sonny Gray. I know, Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson. Maybe not the sexiest of starting pitchers out there, but they're going to give you innings. To me, if you could put Clase in the back end of that bullpen with Ryan Helsley, I mean, my goodness, what a bullpen that would be. Could you imagine? You got innings in the rotation. You got a shutdown bullpen, a great lineup. I think this would be a really good addition for the St. Louis Cardinals. Moving on. Let's stay in the division. And for the Chicago Cubs, I got a starting pitcher for him. Didn't land Ohtani. That's okay. Didn't seem to be even in the Yamamoto sweepstakes. I don't know. But for the Chicago Cubs, I got a veteran guy going to them. I got Shane Bieber going to the Chicago Cubs. I think this would be a very solid addition for them. He has been training this offseason at Driveline. He's been throwing. He looks like he's doing pretty good. Velocity looks pretty good. And I think with him, this would be a really nice veteran addition. You just lost Marcus Stroman. Shane Bieber, Marcus Stroman, they're both ground ball guys. So I feel like Shane Bieber would be a nice replacement, right? And Shane Bieber has said he would be open to an extension. So maybe the Cubs and him can work something out. I could definitely see something like that. If you got Steele, Bieber, Tyone maybe picks it up a little bit next year. You got Wicks, a younger guy. You got Assad there, Hendricks. I think Bieber would be a perfect addition for the Chicago Cubs, if you ask me. Moving on here. Moving on. We got a lot more to go. We got the Diamondbacks coming up next, and I could see maybe some people thinking, why would the Diamondbacks do this? They just brought back Lourdes Gurriel Jr., but I got a guy. This is Robbie Claus right now, so as you can see, there's no ginger on me right now. But for Robbie, the actual host of this show, his ginger brethren would be a perfect addition for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Justin Turner would be a very solid addition, and I'm going to tell you why. Now, when it comes to Justin Turner, you're getting a veteran guy, full of all the gingerness. But taking a look here at Justin Turner, had himself a really good year last year. Sure, he's starting to get up there in age a little bit, 39 years old as of right now, but a very good year of my Red Sox last year, 23 homers, drove in 96, hit 276, a 345 on base, 455 slugging, a 114 WRC plus, really solid. He's more of a DH at this point, but he can move around. He played some first last year, even played some seconds, surprisingly. The position that he's been mainly playing over the past several years before the Red Sox, that was actually the least he played, right? Because he got Devers at third. But he can definitely move around. And you're probably thinking, well, if he's more of a DH, well, you just brought back Lourdes Gurriel Jr. That's probably a better spot. But with Lourdes Gurriel Jr., you can move him back out to left field. You can put Corbin Carroll out in right field. You still got Alek Thomas out in center. Whatever you want to do, you can make it work. Turner can be your DH. Go after another World Series. I think a veteran bat like Turner would be perfect for them. Moving on. Let's move on here to the the LA Dodgers. Let's go to the LA Dodgers. I mean, do they really need a gift? Do they really need any more gifts? They've gotten all the gifts. I almost just said, you know what? You're good. Go take a nap. That's a good gift for the Dodgers. But I got to play by the rules. We got to give them something. For the LA Dodgers, I think they could use another bat. I think Teoscar Hernandez could be a pretty nice fit. A right-handed bat, sure, there's some swing and miss in there. I understand that. But with Teoscar Hernandez, and yes, also there are some inconsistencies there. I get that. He was very up and down last year. Taking a look at the numbers. Overall, he had a decent season when you look at the final numbers. When you look at the final slash line, he still drove in some runs, still hit some homers, hit 258, 305 on base, 435 slugging, 105 WRC plus, 26 home runs. It's funny because he's fast, but he's not a great base runner, and he has a good arm, but he's still not exactly a great fielder. But with Teoscar, I feel like maybe the Dodgers would be a good home for him because, look at what they've done with some of these guys that they brought in. Jason Hayward last year, the main example. I feel like Teoscar Hernandez, this would be a guy, gives him another right-handed bat there. He can play in the outfield, obviously, sharing time with some of those other guys. I feel like the Dodgers would be able to keep him a bit more consistent, right? Because when he was hot, he was hot. He was just mashing the ball last year when he was hot. But then when he was cold, he was ice cold. So Teoscar Hernandez, I think the Dodgers, I think they can help him out, stay a little bit more steady throughout the year. Let's move on. Here. We're staying in the division. We're just going a little, where on the map? A little north. We're going to San Francisco. And you all know where I'm going with this. I've been saying this on the show for, feels like almost years at this point. Not really, but Matt Chapman, I think he's the perfect fit for the San Francisco Giants. They need an upgrade at third base. When it comes to the bat, sure, is he going to give you a ton? I mean, he's going to give you something. He hit 240 last year, but he had a 330 on base, a 110 WRC plus. He got off to the red-hot start, but then his bat really cooled off after that, and it felt like it never really got anywhere close to that level. But with Chapman, he's going to bring you great defense at third base. They need an upgrade there. You got Bob Melvin there, old manager with the A's. I think it's just so perfect, in my opinion. Matt Chapman, San Francisco Giants. Moving on. We got the Cleveland Guardians. I feel like we haven't heard anything about the Cleveland Guardians. What's been going on with them? But I got something for the Cleveland Guardians. I got Tommy Pham. Why not? Right now with Tommy Pham and the Guardians, I think it's a pretty good fit. I feel like it's not going to cost a whole lot of money. Tommy Pham, he can kind of move around in the outfield. He can get some DH time. I just think they could use some offense there. And Tommy Pham, it's just not really going to be an expensive move, if you ask me. And Pham last year, he was pretty decent. Hit 256, 446 on the slugging, a 110 WRC plus, 16 homers. I think a veteran guy like that for a younger team, I feel like could be a really nice addition. Tommy Pham for the Cleveland Guardians. And honestly, he just looks like a Cleveland Guardian. I don't know. He just looks good there. I just think it just looks right. Moving on. Let's go to the Seattle Mariners, who actually just made an addition not too long ago, a Christmas gift for Mitch Garver going to the Seattle Mariners. There is your DH. There is your DH. But I think they still could add another bat here. And I got the perfect bat, everyone. We got the perfect bat for the Mariners. We got Randy Arozarena. I mean, it still works. You can still go get him, put him out in left field. I think it's perfect. It's perfect. I mean, look at this lineup here if you had Arozarena in it. Now, Arozarena, he definitely cooled off a bit in the second half. He was much better in the second half, but his overall numbers were really good. A 126 WRC plus, hit 254, 364 on base, 23 home runs. He's a fun player. He'll bring some energy there. I feel like Mariners fans would love Randy Arozarena. And can you imagine this lineup here? Now, again, it's not like, the most amazing lineup right now, but I feel like with Arozarena in it, it would be really solid top to bottom. You got J-Rod, Crawford at the top. Garver now is going to be a run producer in the middle. Hopefully he stays healthy, but I feel like he will, being more of a DH, right? Being a catcher really wore down on him. He didn't do as much catching this past year. But, hey, look at what he did in the postseason. I feel like that would be really good. And last year, Garver had a 500 slugging. So if he can just stay healthy for the whole year, I think he'll be a really good bat. But Arozarena, put him out in left field, I think this could be a really good addition for them. Moving on. We're almost halfway. We're getting there. I got something for the Marlins. I'm going to talk about the Marlins in a little bit as well, but I got something for them right now. They could use a shortstop. And I got someone for them. The Brewers, hey, they got a shortstop there that's on the rumor mill. I got Willy Adames. I think this would be a perfect guy for them. I mean, really, give him a little bit of pop. Give him a little something. I mean, I'm just saying. Now, with Adames, you're mainly going to get some defense, right? Adames, a great defender at shortstop last year. He's been one of the best shortstops defensively in the game the last 2 years. I mean, look at the wins above replacement back in 2022. He was a 4.5 win player, right? And he hit 31 home runs. Now, the power went down a little bit this past year. The numbers went down. The slugging went down, batting average. But the defense was still really good. He's going to give you some pop. And the Marlins, they really need a shortstop. And he's not going to cost a whole lot to acquire. So I feel like the Marlins would be okay. Even if it's just 1 year, he is going to be a free agent next year. So, and the Marlins, hey, if the Brewers end up trading Corbin Burns, the Marlins got some pitching there. Maybe they could work something out. Maybe get something done. Who knows? Maybe you could work out some kind of a package. Maybe Adames, maybe something else, not Burns. Maybe like Adames and maybe something else. Maybe you can go get someone like Edward Cabrera. I think that could, I don't know if they'd do that for just 1 year of Adames, but they got some pitching. I think they could maybe get something done. So, moving on here. Are we almost at the halfway point? We got one more before we hit the halfway point. And we got the New York Mets. Mets fans, they need something for Christmas. They need something. They wanted Yamamoto. That was going to be the perfect gift under the tree. Unfortunately, they did not get Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He was a Dodger all along. I think from when the process started, from when even before Ohtani even went to the Dodgers, because in my opinion, Ohtani was a Dodger from the get-go. I think Yamamoto knew ever since his season ended last year that he was going to be a Dodger. It was only a matter of time. But for the Mets. They didn't get Yamamoto. I'm going to give them the next guy up from Japan. They could use some pitching. I'm going Shota Imanaga. You know what? It's not Yamamoto, but Imanaga, scouts do like him. It's not going to be the Yamamoto kind of an addition. He's also 5 years older. But with him, you're going to get some good stuff, especially more so the off-speed. Now, that doesn't discount his fastball. Not a lot of velocity. As you can see here, Fangraphs only gives it a 40. But there is a bit of shape to it. There is some kind of movement, right? However, he gave up a lot of home runs in Japan, and most of his home runs were off his fastball. So could that be more of just the fastball maybe not being all that great, or maybe the location, right? He pitched lower in the zone, and that's where he tended to get hit the hardest. So maybe if they can work with him, kind of locate a little bit better, maybe the fastball can end up being really effective. But with him, you are going to get a good slider, decent changeup, and he's going to throw a lot of strikes. So I think with Imanaga, I think with him, it'll be a 3-4 in the rotation for the next few years. It's not going to be the sexy one like Yamamoto, but Imanaga, you got Senga there, obviously, so there is that connection too. So I think with the Mets, get this guy on like a 5-year deal. He can be a guy that's at the back end of your rotation for the next few years, and the Mets can regroup, maybe go after another pitcher at some point in the next couple of years. Let's take a break, everyone. Let's take a break. We're at the halfway point. Everyone, like goal for tonight is 200. If you can help us get to 200, I will love you forever. And everyone, I'm just going to talk about tonight's sponsor really quick. Got to talk about tonight's sponsor, and that is BetUS. BetUS, easily the number one online sports betting platform out there. When you take a look here, we got some odds for some players on what their next team could be. So with BetUS right now, they are banking on Cody Bellinger being a Toronto Blue Jay. Funny enough, coming up next, they actually have the Yankees. I don't know about that one. But then they got the Giants coming up after that. But the Blue Jays right now have the edge when it comes to the odds. Now, Josh Hader, on the other hand, they're still giving the Rangers the edge when it comes to Hader, as well as the Dodgers. It's not just the Rangers, right? So it's looking like a tie for the Rangers and the Dodgers right now. The Yankees are being listed here. You got the Cubs being listed here. I feel like the Phillies are a good fit as well. They got a plus 900 as of right now. Jordan Montgomery, they're giving the edge to my Red Sox. And unfortunately, according to Alex Spire of the Boston Globe, he got a bit of knowledge when he asked an official within the Red Sox organization. Unfortunately, when he said, hey, how about Jordan Montgomery? Could that be a good fallback option? And even Jordan Montgomery might be more than what the Red Sox are willing to spend. Can you believe it? My goodness. I would do anything for Jordan Montgomery under my Christmas tree. My goodness. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe the Red Sox are maybe waiting him out. Because if you really think about it with Montgomery, I know teams are going to want starting pitching, but let's kind of look at the options out there for Montgomery, right? The Giants already having a hard time bringing players in because of the city. The Rangers, they're a little low on money right now. The Yankees, does he want to go back to the Yankees? I don't know. So maybe the Red Sox can wait him out. The Dodgers, they've already been spending a ton of money. Do they want to go get Jordan Montgomery? The Cardinals, they've already spent a lot of money on pitching. The Mets, I also read somewhere that the Mets might not be willing to go that long. I'd say the Mets and the Red Sox are in pretty similar positions right now. So could it come down to maybe really him maybe waiting a little bit, right? Because if you're thinking about like a slam dunk option right now, it's not really out there, right? For like Blake Snell is a little different Because with Blake Snell, he is the Cy Young winner. He's got the stuff. Montgomery is more of the consistent arm, right? So it's interesting with Montgomery's market. Who could emerge? Maybe the Red Sox are kind of just holding off a little bit. Maybe even the Mets are too. Who knows? I think it's possible. You could see Montgomery maybe waiting a little bit, waiting for Snell to come off. But I still think the Red Sox, they still make a lot of sense because they could use a guy like him. But I think they're going to try. If the Red Sox do go after Montgomery, I think they're going to try and see if they can get him on like a 5-year deal. Kind of like the John Lackey signing back in 2010. Kind of like that, right? Remember they got John Lackey back then, 5-year. I believe he was 85. Today, that feels like a Jordan Montgomery kind of a contract, right? John Lackey, not really the ace, more like that 2-3 in the rotation. I think the Red Sox maybe try and go 5 years with Jordan Montgomery. We'll see. Maybe an option. I could maybe see that. But with the Red Sox, who knows? I mean, right now it looks like they don't want to spend a whole lot of money. So we'll see. Matt Chapman, they're giving the Giants the major edge over the Chicago Cubs. They got the Yankees listed here as well. But those are your odds for these players' next team. But with BetUS, you got a whole bunch of different ways to bet, try and win some money. We got football. We've had football on today. I know it felt weird. It was Christmas Eve, and it was like, whoa, football on Christmas Eve. But obviously, football. We're in the heat of the playoff race right now. You got basketball every single night. We got NBA on Christmas tomorrow, and they got some betting odds going on over there. So go sign up. The link is in the description down below. You get a 125% bonus if you click on that link. Go see if you can win yourself some cash. But please make sure you bet responsibly. So here we go, everyone. Let's get to the second half. I still got some gifts to go deliver out there. So we got to try and get moving here. Here we go. So moving on. Let's go to the Nationals. What could the Nationals get for Christmas? What could they get? I came up with a bit of an out-of-the-box idea. Out of the box. No pun intended. Box gift, right? But for the Nationals, you know what? I think they could be pretty good in the next couple of years, right? Maybe, who knows? Maybe they could be a fun team this year. But you're probably looking at maybe another year for the Nationals. I got a guy for you. Maybe he could pitch this year. Maybe towards the end. Who knows? Maybe second half a little bit. I got Brandon Woodruff. Why not? Why not go take a flyer on this guy? Maybe like a 2-year deal. Maybe he comes back for it at the end of the year next year. Then you got him in a couple years, and you got this guy in your rotation when he's healthy. I mean, why not? Brandon Woodruff. Maybe the Nationals are pretty good in a couple of years. And you got this guy, right, smack dab in your rotation. I'm just saying. And he's probably not going to cost all that much. Obviously, he just had the shoulder surgery. So will the Nationals even have to spend all that much for him? I mean, we look at the numbers here. You know, Woodruff was really good. 11 starts, right? Didn't get to pitch in the playoffs, but ERA was a 2.28. FIP at a 3.60. Still very good. Still one of the better pitchers in the game. It's gonna be, you know, teams are not going to give this guy a long-term deal. He's already 30. You know, problems with the shoulder. That's going to be, you know, tough. But I could maybe see like a 2-year deal. You know, maybe something like that. A year and an option is something like that. I don't know. But we'll see. But I think the Nationals, I think it could be a bit of an out-of-the-box idea for them. Maybe look towards 2025, right? Here we go. Moving on. We have, oh yeah, here we go. We got the Baltimore Orioles coming up. We got the Orioles. Look at the Orioles last year. They were very good. But we all agree, we feel like they could use something atop the rotation. And I got something for you, everyone. How about Corbin Burns? Corbin Burns in Baltimore. It's probably going to be a rental. But you know what? Baltimore, they got a good team. And could you imagine if you have Corbin Burns on this team. I mean, that'd be amazing. That'd be such a lift for that rotation, right? You got Bradish, you got a young Grayson Rodriguez, but Burns, like a veteran guy, even though it's 1 year, I mean, who knows? The Orioles, they got payroll room, man. Maybe, if he ends up having a good year, he likes it there, maybe he ends up going back. I don't know. But why not take a chance on it? You got prospects. Go get a deal done. And maybe it could end up being a good fit, long term. Obviously, this would be a really good addition for this rotation, right? I love the Orioles team the way it's built. I hate them as a Red Sox fan. But, I mean, look at all the youth. And that's another thing with Burns, too. Maybe he sees how, if he does go to Baltimore, sees how much young talent they have on this team. He's going to be in his 30s. That could be a good long-term home for him, right? You would got Burns, Bradish, Rodriguez, Means, Kramer. I mean, that's a really good 1 through 5, if you ask me. The Orioles just won 100 games. I feel like someone like Burns could help give them that lift, right, to get past that first round, which they just got eliminated in. Let's go to the San Diego Padres. Listen, Padres fans, you're probably not going to like this gift. It's going to be a little underwhelming, but you know what? I think there's a lot more than there appears on the surface. I think this guy would bring some leadership to your team. I think this guy will bring some good defense to your team. I think this guy will bring some grit to the Padres. I got Kevin Kiermaier for the Padres. I mean, why not? Yeah, is it going to be the best player out there? No. But the Padres, they're not looking to spend a whole lot of money right now. All right. Kevin Kiermaier's not going to cost a whole lot. 33. He's the lower tier outfield option right now, right? But I think what Kiermaier would do at the Padres, they had some, chemistry problems last year. I think Kiermaier, when you think about it, right, this is a guy that's going to be a clubhouse leader. He's going to keep guys in check, right? And he's going to be pretty decent. He's going to bring you good defense out there in center field, right? You just got rid of Trent Grisham, right? So right now, Jose Azocar is your option. I'd rather have Kevin Kiermaier out there, to be completely honest with you. A guy that goes to the bottom of the order, gives you good defense, gives you some grit. I think Kevin Kiermaier is a good option. David Moustakis, $2 super chat. Merry Christmas, everyone, he says. David, Merry Christmas to you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Everyone, let's move on. We got the Pittsburgh Pirates. I have something for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Could end up being a really good high upside move. Pittsburgh Pirates. I got Yariel Rodriguez. They've been scouting this guy like crazy. They've been scouting this guy for a while. You're probably thinking, who the heck is Yariel Rodriguez? Yariel Rodriguez could end up being a really good arm. Only 26 years old, going to be 27 soon. He's been pitching in Japan the last few years. He came from Cuba. But look at the numbers from Japan last year. He had a 1.15 ERA. Oh, not last year, 2022. He didn't really pitch last year because my guess was he wanted to kind of keep himself healthy, I guess. So he did pitch in the World Baseball Classic, though. Looked really good. But going back to 2022, he had an ERA of 1.15 over 56 games, 54 and 2/3 innings. Now, people debate, could he be a starter or reliever? He could be a really good, like a closer for you at some point. Or he could end up just being in the rotation. But the scouting report from Baseball America, they say here, he's a power pitcher, has really good stuff, fastball that gets up near 100. He's got a two-seamer with arm side run, hard arm side run. But the slider with him, really good. He's got a lot of spin on that slider. And I actually got a little video for you, everyone, a little video. And with Yariel Rodriguez, I mean, look at this slider here against the Netherlands. I mean, did you see the bite on that? One more time for the people at home. I mean, that is a nasty slider. Like, that is so much movement. We can go see a couple more highlights here. Or I think it's the same highlight, but they got a little zoomed in here. Look at this. Look at the slope. My goodness. It literally started here and it ended at his knees. It went from his, I believe it was like near his shoulders, released it up near his upper torso, and then went down near his knees. Did you see the break on that thing? Unbelievable. I think for the Pirates, if they got someone like him, a guy with stuff, I think that would make a ton of sense. And timeline-wise, fits into their timeline. You know, get this guy on like a 4-year deal, 5-year deal. You know, he's only 26. The Pirates are getting close to competing. Get a pitcher like this. They need some pitching, right? They added some lower-tier guys, Martin Perez, Marco Gonzalez, right? You're not gonna have Oviedo this year. But to me, if you get Yariel Rodriguez, who knows? That guy could end up being maybe, who knows? Maybe even a number 2 at some point behind Mitch Keller. And then maybe 2025, you get Oviedo back. I mean, that'd be pretty nasty, right? Or could he be a reliever, right? That's what some scouts have been saying. Probably more of a reliever of anything. But some scouts say he could start, right? But if he were a reliever, whatever, you put him in a setup role, and you got Holderman and Bednar and Rodriguez at the back end. I mean, that's nasty. I mean, what a nasty bullpen that would be. So, Pittsburgh Pirates, they need someone like this, in my opinion. Moving on. Speaking of relievers, I got something for the Philadelphia Phillies. We got a super chat coming in from Ben Lowry, $1.99 as a Giants fan. Any free agents over Disco in the rotation? I mean, for the Giants, yeah, they could. I think Marcus Stroman would be good, to be honest. Like, I think he would be a good addition for them. Gives them innings, gets ground balls, good infield defense. Makes a lot of sense, right? Could they maybe get Lucas Giolito? You know, a guy that's going to give you definitely some innings, right? They could use that. But, yeah, I definitely think the Giants, man, I definitely think, yeah, that could be they definitely need some starting pitching for sure. Ben, thank you for your super chat. Moving on. Let's go to the Phillies. I got something for the Phillies. They're trying to win a World Series. They've been so close the last couple of years, right? 1 win away from the World Series this past year. 2 wins away from winning a World Series 2 years ago. But I'm thinking, look at what happened with Craig Kimbrell in the playoffs, right? If Kimbrell has a clean inning, you could be looking at the Phillies in the World Series, right? I got a closer for you. We got Josh Hader for the Phillies. And honestly, this feels like a Dave Dombrowski kind of a move, right? A position that could be of need, right? You just lost Kimbrell. Sure, say what you will about Kimbrell, but he had a pretty good year last year overall, minus what happened in the postseason. Well, you just lost him. Got the best closer out there. Feels like a Dave Dombrowski kind of a move, to be honest with you. And if you add Hader to the back end of your bullpen, that's going to be a shutdown bullpen. It's already a really good bullpen when you look at it. You know, looking at what they already have here, you got Alvarado, you got Hoffman, you know, Soto from the left side, Dominguez. You got Strom here. You got Keckering. That's a young arm. Look out for him. Hader at the back end. Ooh, that'd be nasty. And it seemed like that was one piece that held them back in the postseason last year. So we'll see. We'll see. Josh Hader, I think, would be a great addition for the Philadelphia Phillies. Moving on here, we got the Texas Rangers. Speaking of relievers, I have a reliever for the Texas Rangers. You're probably thinking, you know what? Yeah, you know, they probably need some starting pitching, right? Yeah, probably need some starting pitching. But their bullpen had issues last year, right? And I would have done Hader here, but reports are that maybe the Rangers aren't really willing to spend a ton of money, right? But I got an option for you for that bullpen that won't cost as much as Hader, but he's going to be a power arm. He's also from Texas. We got Jordan Hicks. I mean, why not Jordan Hicks? I think this is perfect. Geographically, perfect. From Texas. Hard thrower. They get hard throwing pitchers in their past. right? Nolan Ryan comes to mind. Kind of just feels right. Jordan Hicks with the Texas Rangers probably won't cost as much as Hader. It's going to cost you a decent amount. I think he had a really good season last year, 65 games, ERA at the 3.29, FIP at a 3.22, but he had 11 strikeouts per 9. But this guy, he's like consistently right around 100, if not over it, pretty much every time he's out there. So I think Hicks would be a nice option, especially if they can't go get someone like Hader. Hicks, I think, would be the next guy. Moving on. Well, actually, really quick, let's just look at this bullpen. I mean, right now, you got Leclerc there, but after him, you did bring in Kirby Yates. But, I don't know, man. When you're looking at a whole season, it's not the most exciting bullpen. I think they need something else. I think Hicks makes a lot of sense. So, moving on. We got the Tampa Bay Rays. Speaking of relievers, I got something for you, Tampa. I got something for you. How about a Aroldis Chapman for the Tampa Bay Rays? I think this would be fun. And I feel like the Rays bullpen could use a little something, right? Now, is Chapman what he used to be? No, but he had a pretty good season last year. No matter what you say, Chapman gives you heart attacks in the playoffs. But when you look at the numbers last year, 2.52 FIP, ERA at a 3.09. He still walks a lot of guys, but you're still getting 15 strikeouts per 9. And I see you in the chat. Relentless. The Rays hate Chapman after what he did in 20 to Brasso. Listen, that was 2020. And for Aroldis Chapman, if you can't beat him, join him. I'm just saying. I think the Rays would be a fun fit. And with the Rays, right, they just traded Glasnow now. So you're thinking, maybe they could add some starting pitching. Remember, they got Ryan Pepio in the trade. So, could they maybe add another starting pitcher somewhere? Yeah, but if they do, it won't be anything crazy. I think their bullpen could use a little something else. I think Chapman, that'd be a pretty fun fit, right? Go back to Yankee Stadium. That'd be fun. In a Rays uniform, can you imagine that? Man, oh man. Moving on. Let's go to the Red. Oh, I got a fun one for the Reds. I'm probably gonna what's the word I'm looking for here? Probably gonna maybe bug some Reds fans out there. But you know what? I'm getting creative here. I'm not just coming up with, the normal socks and underwear gift that you're gonna get, right? I got a little something different for the Cincinnati Reds. You know who that might be? It's an old friend. And you know what? He needs somewhere to go. The Reds could use some pitching. And I don't care if I bug people with it. Because at the end of the day, it's a need. We got Trevor Bauer. How about a Cy Young winner from 2020 with the Cincinnati Reds? Let's just bring this guy back. He did great for you. Go back to that year that he had. 2020, winning the Cy Young. Sure, shortened season, but a 1.73 ERA over the 11 starts. My goodness, he was striking out 12 batters per 9. Really good. And in Japan, go to this past year in Japan. Remember, it's a different game, all right? So you can't fully compare the numbers that he had in Japan. But overall, still really solid numbers. He went 11-4, 2.59 ERA. Just saying, man. I think he would be... if there's one place that he could go where he'll keep himself in check, go back to where he was doing really well with the Cincinnati Reds, right? And then when you add Bauer to this rotation, right? Hunter Green, that's going to be your ace. But you have some young arms here. You did bring in Nick Martinez, right? But look at what the Reds were doing. They were trying to bring in some arms, right? They tried for Tyler Glasnow, didn't get it done. To me, if they're not able to really go out there and land some guys, maybe they can go get Mike Clevinger. I think that could be a pretty good fit. But if there are no other options, I'm just saying, man, Trevor Bauer, old friend, I think that could work out. Let's have some fun. Trevor Bauer to the Cincinnati Reds. Let's get to my Red Sox. Robbie Claus needs to talk about his Red Sox. I got something at the top of my wish list. Now, I've been kind of going back and forth the last week or so, right? I wanted Yamamoto so bad. Seemed like the perfect fit. That guy wasn't even ever going to Boston. He wasn't doing anything. He was always going to LA, right? The Red Sox, where do you go from here? We talked about Montgomery earlier, but then there's reports that maybe the Red Sox don't even want to spend the money on Montgomery. Goodness gracious. But what I have seen the Red Sox doing, what I think they'll try and do, is add a controlled starting pitcher, right? It's going to cost you a lot. You're going to have to give up some beef, right? But they have built up their prospect capital over the last couple of years with Chaim Bloom. And to me, when I'm thinking of the options out there, yeah, there's Corbin Burns, but he's only going to have 1 year. Yeah, there's someone like Logan Gilbert, but are the Mariners going to give up Logan Gilbert? Could you do Bryce Miller, Brian Wu? Yeah, I could see that. But if there's a guy out there that I think can be had at the right price, it's going to cost you a bit, but I would absolutely love Jesus Luzardo for the Boston Red Sox. To me, if the Red Sox go get Jesus Luzardo, even if they went and got like Lucas Giolito, who had a bad second half, I would be okay with it, right? But if you got Luzardo, I would be pretty happy with it, right? So taking a look at what the rotation looks like as of right now, hold on one second. I'm pulling up the numbers. So now, Jesus Luzardo, now remember, he ran into some tough times while he was with Oakland, right? Go back, and he just completely fell apart. They traded him to the Marlins, right? And then he got himself together. Still only 26 years old, not a free agent until 2027. He's got 3 years of control. This year, 25 and 26. Sounds like a perfect fit for the Red Sox timeline-wise, right? They need a guy that could be like a 2 or a 1 in your rotation, right? Luzardo is going to go right near the top no matter where you put him. But to me, this is a guy where the strikeout to walk ratio is really good. The 3 years of control makes a lot of sense for the Red Sox to go get him. Now, what could a trade possibly look like? Well, to me, when you're looking at the Marlins, in my opinion, I think they could use a bit of an upgrade when it comes to the outfield, right? I know you got Jesus Sanchez, you got Brian De La Cruz. I'll be honest with you. I actually was getting a little creative, and I was thinking back to, now I'm not saying Jesus Luzardo is Josh Beckett, but I was thinking back to the Josh Beckett trade, and I'm thinking, what could, maybe that be like a similar trade? Because I was looking at it. The Red Sox, right? They are looking for a right-handed bat. Could that maybe be more of a center fielder? And the reason I say that is because the Red Sox have Jarren Duran, who is their projected center fielder as of right now, really boosted up his value last year with a good season, right? Could you maybe send over Jarren Duran to the Marlins? Jesus Luzardo goes back to the Red Sox, but as you can see here, you're still far apart. Could you maybe, if you're the Red Sox, add in a young starter like a Tanner Houck, maybe a Cutter Crawford who has control? But to me, I feel like it's... Now, Jesus Luzardo is definitely better than Cutter Crawford. If we had to give up Cutter Crawford in the deal, I wouldn't hate it, obviously. But Crawford, he's under control. I would like for him to be at the back end of the rotation. Could you somehow get them to take Houck? But I could understand if it is Crawford, right? So, Houck, let's put him in, right? But for the Red Sox, you would still have to put some more in this deal, all right? You could do, who knows, maybe throw in someone, maybe like an Emmanuel Valdez there. That's a young hitter, only 24 years old. Maybe that could be something the Marlins would like to have. I don't know. You got Luis Ariz, though. You got Bell. So I don't know if Valdez is really the best fit necessarily. Or maybe you can just throw on a couple of pitching prospects in like a Luis Perales, maybe Wickelman Gonzalez. And, right there, that 4-for-1, could get a deal done. So I think you definitely have the possibility there. Maybe the Red Sox, because now the Marlins with Duran, you have a lot of outfielders at that point. Maybe the Marlins could send someone back like Brian De La Cruz, right? Who's feels like he's kind of hit his ceiling with the Marlins. Like, I don't know, it feels like he hasn't really been able to get it going with the Marlins. Had some moments last year, but maybe with the Red Sox, they can get a bit more out of him, change the scenery. I think the Red Sox and the Marlins definitely come together in a trade here with Duran being the centerpiece. So Jesus Luzardo, to me, I think just makes a lot of sense for the Red Sox. When you think of all the options out there, I would love it. Moving on. Let's go to the Colorado Rockies. I got something for the Rockies. We got something for the Rockies. You're probably thinking, what do the Rockies even need? They're not going to win, but they could use some pitching. I got Mike Clevinger for the Rockies. They do need something. And taking a look here, when it comes to Mike Clevinger, pulling up the numbers, he wasn't that bad last year. When you look at his overall numbers last year, they weren't that bad at all. Now, he did miss a little bit of time, but 24 starts, a 3.77 ERA, 4.28 on the FIP. A slider is his main secondary pitch. Sliders tend to work a bit better over there. Hold on, let me share the screen here. Here we go. So that slider in cores, that tends to be a better pitch than most of the other off-speed pitches because of the altitude there. Sliders, they tend to perform the best out of all the other off-speed pitches. So I think Clevinger, go on like a 2-year deal or something like that. The Rockies really need some pitching. I think it makes a lot of sense. Moving on here, we got the Kansas City Royals. And for the Kansas City Royals, they've been having quite the offseason. Maybe not any blockbuster deals, but they've been adding some young pieces. I think the Kansas City Royals, why not? Let's go add another piece. They've been attached to Marcus Stroman. With that infield defense, I think Marcus Stroman would be awesome for the Kansas City Royals. They have a really good infield there. He gets a ton of ground balls. Look at the ground ball percentage of Marcus Stroman last year. 57%. I mean, my goodness. Put it with those infielders that they got there, like Bobby Wick Jr. I mean, good grief. I mean, what an infield that would be. It'd be crazy. Marcus Stroman, hey, why not? Kansas City, you did add Michael Wacha. You did add Seth Lugo. It kind of, when you look at the rotation, it's probably done now. But to me, I say keep going, man. I say keep going. Add one more. You got a rotation of Reagans, Stroman, Wacha, Lugo, and Singer. I don't know. Lyles had a 6.28 ERA last year. Go put that guy in long relief. I'm just saying. Marcus Stroman, you are a Kansas City Royal. Moving on. Few more teams here. Let's stay in the division. We got the Detroit Tigers. I have another out-of-the-box idea. I think the Tigers need a bat. I think they need some thump in that lineup. Now, the Tigers, they're probably not going to go out there and spend a whole lot of money, but I have an idea. Why not Rhys Hoskins? I think that could be a really good fit. 1-year deal, probably won't cost all that much, but Rhys Hoskins is a guy where just a couple of years ago had himself a good year with the Phillies, right? Taking a look at the numbers, and they're projecting him for a pretty good season this coming year. They're projecting 29 home runs, but if you go back to 2022, before he tore his ACL, he had 30 home runs. I think the Tigers really need something like that. You're probably thinking, well, Torkelson plays first. Hoskins is your DH, right? Carpenter, he can bounce around. He can get at bats. You can put Carpenter back at second, whatever. But to me, Hoskins is a power bat that I think the Tigers really could use. They haven't been mentioned at all. Even hearing a lot about the Cubs and the Mariners, but I think it'd be a really good fit for the Tigers. What do I know, though? I think just for me, I think they could use some more thump there, give a little bit more protection, with Green and Torkelson. You got Kana, but I feel like Hoskins, with what he can bring to the table in terms of power and run production, I think it makes a lot of sense for the Tigers. That's just me. Moving on. Staying in the division as well. Not just the Royals, not just the Tigers, but we got the Twins. Speaking of a power bat, we got Adam Duvall. old friend, Red Sox legend Adam Duvall. And I think, you just lost Michael Taylor. He had a pretty good season this past year for the Twins. But Adam Duvall, yeah, he missed some time last year, hurt the wrist. He missed some time with that. But overall, had a good season with the Red Sox. Had a .531 slugging, a 116 WRC+, 21 home runs over the 92 games. To me, for the Minnesota Twins, I think he fits perfectly, right? You got, right now, Buxton projected to be the center fielder, but we all know Buxton is made out of glass. So to me, Buxton, I don't know. For me, I keep that guy as a DH, man. Buxton's just going to get hurt. But even if you keep Buxton out in center field, right, you got Wallner out in left as of right now. He had a really good season, 370 on base, the .507 slugging. But Kepler has been in the rumor mill. Maybe he could get moved. He's a lefty bat. And Julian's a lefty bat as well. So Adam Duvall, a righty bat there, I think could make some sense. Right? So it gives him a little pop. We'll see. But Adam Duvall, Minnesota Twins. We got two more teams, everyone. Two more teams. Let's go to the Chicago White Sox. I was actually looking at my gifts last year, and I gave the White Sox a second baseman in Gene Segura. And I realized, back-to-back years, I'm giving the White Sox a second baseman. Whit Merrifield going to the Chicago White Sox. I mean, for the White Sox, it's really, what are they even doing right now? I think it's someone like Whit Merrifield. He's a veteran guy. Will he even want to go to the White Sox at this point? But to me, he fills a need. They could use something at second base. He's going to bring you some decent defense overall. He'll move around. He can play some outfield too. I'm bringing this guy in mainly for just a veteran guy there. We'll see. We'll see. But Whit Merrifield, go be the White Sox second baseman. As of right now for the White Sox, you do got Nicky Lopez there. Whatever. Whit Merrifield, go to the Chicago White Sox. And last but not least, everyone, we have the New York Yankees. What do I have for the New York Yankees? Thank God they didn't get Yamamoto. My goodness. If they got Yamamoto, I wasn't giving them anything. No, absolutely not. But for the Yankees, you know what? I think they didn't land Yamamoto. I think they could use some innings in that rotation, personally. I think Yankee fans are going to come after me. Oh, you just hate the Yankees. That's why you're giving this guy to the Yankees. Listen, Lucas Giolito, when he is right, he can be a decent arm. And I think for the Yankees, they could use a durable arm. They have been having not a lot, but they have been having some injuries in the rotation. Look at Rodon last year. He only had 14 starts. Nestor Cortez only had 12. Beater is your number 5 at this point. I think Giolito, I think honestly, if you put him with Matt Blake, pitching coach, I think they could get him right. To me, I think Giolito, he's your back-end guy. Schmidt, to me, I don't know. To me, if you got Cole, Rodon, Giolito, Cortez, and Schmidt, I think that's a decent 1 through 5. If Giolito gets himself right. But I think Matt Blake can get him right. So, Lucas Giolito, you are a New York Yankee, or maybe he could end up being a Red Sox. He has been connected with the Red Sox. I wouldn't mind getting him, to be honest with you. Put him with Andrew Bailey. Change of scenery. Maybe the Red Sox. But everyone, I'm out of here. I'm wrapping this up. I got to go enjoy the rest of my Christmas Eve. But everyone, thank you for stopping by. I do this stream every year. Kind of just wanted to, enjoy some Christmas with all of you. You've given a lot to me. So I just want to, give back a little bit to you. Give yourself a stream. Some of you might be bored where you are on Christmas Eve. But everyone, I do want to say, have yourself a great Christmas. Really go enjoy it. Spend it with family, friends. Enjoy it, right? It's not just about the gifts. Make sure you go eat with your family. Go sit with them. Go talk with them, right? We all want to look at our phones and our iPads these days, right? But no, go sit down. Go spend time with family. Go talk. Go mingle. Go have some eggnog. That's what I'm going to do. So, everyone, Merry Christmas, really. And, for me, I just want to say, thank you, for everything. If I'm reflecting on this past year, you have all been amazing. The channel has really grown. And so, really, I do say, with full sincerity. Merry Christmas, and I really want you to enjoy it. But everyone, we will be back probably Tuesday, the day after Christmas, and I'm sure we'll have some news to dive into at that point. So stay tuned. But everyone, will not be live tomorrow, obviously, because it's Christmas. I don't think anything's going to happen. Could you imagine if something happens tomorrow? Please no. But everyone, probably be back on Tuesday. Be on the lookout for that. Have yourself a great night, everyone. Have yourself a great Christmas, and I'll talk to you next time.